You're watching Every Day's a Saturday, USCC veteran. Let's go, baby. And here's your host, Bryan. And what's going on, friends and family? Thank you guys so much for joining us on another wonderful coffee talk with myself and Marie. How we doing today, Marie?
Tired but here and good.
Tired, but
So,
here.
yep. How about
All
you?
right. We'll get you energetic by the end of the show. That's how we do.
Yeah. You doing
Uh,
okay?
yeah, doing well. Can't complain. I think like from all the things still going on, I think there's still just like a lot of weirdness going on in the world. So, I think just trying to navigate through all that, process everything, and other than that, everything's pretty good and the home front and stuff. It looks like we might be moving here soon. A little bit sooner than I wanted to. But it looks like we might be moving to the place that I've always wanted to live, down towards like Oceanside, San Diego. So, um,
Awesome.
super excited to for that adventure. I do hate moving though. I hate moving with a passion, and I've moved a lot. So, just another good old time of packing it up and moving. But no, other than that, that's it, man. What about you? How was your week? Good week?
It's been good. Yesterday I did a ton of writing. So that was awesome. I got made a few pages dent in a book that I'm working on. So and I published a new poem. So I'll be reading that for you after our little commercial. So I'm excited.
Outstanding. All right. Well, you know how we do. Let's take a little quick coffee break with Cash Coffee, and then we'll be right back. All right. Don't forget to go grab yourself some Cash Coffee. The link will be in the description of the show. And like I said before, they got some amazing roast. And you know what? This girl right here, she's been super busy and doing really good things for the show. She's out there hunting and I mean, I'm constantly getting a invitation for a new guest, so she's been super busy, and we're gonna have Jamie from Cash Coffee come on, and he's a great dude, and I'm excited to have him on and talk about the great things they do, and we're gonna get to hear about their safe program that they have, which they allow you to put your weapon away in there, no questions, no asks. Say you're going through some mental, you know, struggling mentally, whatever. They got a place for you to just put it there and come get it when you're ready. You know what I mean? So pretty cool. But
And
yeah,
it's a special episode too because I am going in person to Cash Coffee because it's only an hour away,
oh hell
and
yeah.
I'm gonna go sit with him, and the episode we're gonna do in their coffee shop to kind of show what they have to offer, and I am super excited about that.
Wow. Well, that is a treat. I
Yep.
tell you, that is a treat for me. And how crazy the world works like that, right? You know, I met Jamie through a radio station that I was a part of for a while, and then we kind of just kept in a relationship. They made me affiliate with Cash Coffee. Then I link up with Marie and find out she lives in Utah, and then we kind of mention it, and then only an hour away from each other. Now they're gonna link up, see each other. Wow, that's so cool.
Yep.
But yeah, Marie, she's been super busy. We got a lot of great guests coming up, and if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the episode that just dropped this past week with Rich LaMonica, he's a great dude. Retired Army, started a Misfit Nation podcast show, and just out there working on his doctorates. You know what I mean? Like and what did he do? He got when he got his degree in his 40s or something like that, and he's just not stopping, man. So what a great guest that was.
And something that we love to hear is he's utilizing and has utilized so many different programs that are available for us vets. And he is like living, walking proof of being a personal advocate for yourself and utilizing these organizations. And he is passing along the message to other people. And we love that. So, yeah, if you are interested in being on our show, let me know. We've got plenty of openings in November and December right now, and then we'll start scheduling for January. Um, but if you are a part of any organization, if you have utilized any organizations, or if you know of any really good organizations or have stories of other people who have utilized the organizations, please come on, come share with us. We want to know how you're healing. We want to know what's available for other people. And even if you haven't utilized the organizations, that's okay too. Just how are you healing? How are you moving forward? How are you overcoming? What is your post traumatic growth story? And how are you healing out loud? So come and join us and share with us what you have.
Yeah, and then, Marie's been sitting here documenting and annotating all these great, you know, things that are working for others. So that way we could put this list out there, and that way there's a long list of all these different groups have helped others. And now you'll have at least a little catalog to go look at and say, huh, and I think what we do is, we make the list and then we kind of have a little box. It talks about what kind of things they do and what, how they may have helped someone, and we kind of give that success part about it so that way people understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But speaking of guests, we have another one waiting back there, and we're gonna let her read her poem and then let her introduce our next guest. So we'll get this ball rolling.
Okay, so the poem that I finished, it's actually called Prayers in a Bathroom Stall. And it's just kind of so in my recovery, and in my recovery, for most of you who's been following along, I got sober 8 years ago. And in those 8 years, I have kind of learned different tools on how to connect with my higher power, connect with other people, and just be able to find peace in hard times. And so this poem is all about, what I've learned about prayer in regards to how I can utilize it on a regular basis and the different ways that I utilize it. And I picked this one to read instead of going back to an older one because, like I said, it has a lot to do with my recovery. And our guest, Jamie, he is in recovery himself. And so I'm so honored to have him here to kind of share a little bit about his story. But I just thought it would kind of be perfect to do this. So, prayers in a bathroom stall. I've watched other people to learn how to pray, what it should look like, or even what to say. Some do it loudly, showing off for friends. Others say certain words as they follow trends. Some pray for enemies to help them feel more free, and other people tell me not to pray for me. Some people repeat words, others say I should never. Some people keep prayer simple, and others are more clever. It's like they try to force things, bargaining their way, promising their adoration to get what they want today. Many people I have seen will say the words out loud. In my church, I have learned to keep my head bowed. I've seen some prayers forced. The person doesn't believe. They still do it anyway, blessings to receive. People have autonomy to pray how they desire, though sometimes when I see this, I notice hope expire. My best prayers are spontaneous, shared without fear. When I live in faith, I feel God's presence very near. In the past, I kept things secret, hiding in my head. They made me feel less worthy, causing tears to shed. All the things I tried to hide used to leave a residue. Now prayers are transparent. God can see straight through. I've said some prayers in a bathroom stall when I was feeling lost, when doing things on my own came at too high a cost. I've also screamed a prayer or two when driving on my own, when I was pissed at the world or when I felt alone. The silent ones in my head, my heart to really soften, are the types of prayers that I do most often. A constant prayer in my heart keeps me feeling free, and when my energy is there, I pray on bended knee. Answers don't always come the way that I expect. Even if that is the case, his answer I accept. The point is not to get response. It's knowing I am heard, believing that I'm not alone. He listens to every word. If things don't get fixed the way I want them to be, I try not to feel defeated and open my eyes to see all the ways he still shows up. I try to understand in those moments he's holding me and strengthening the strand of hope that is before me so I can find a way to keep going through tough times and not to go astray. Prayer is how I release the chains that keep me bound, ego, control, and resentment where frustration is found. I think God would prefer I pray when I am feeling free, not just when the weight of the world crumbles me to a knee. I know that if I keep praying, even just in a bathroom stall, God will clear my heart and shoulders, helping me stand tall. Because I chose to take time to talk with him often, I believe that any falls I take, he will truly soften. Even if nothing turns out the way I want in the end, at least I know that I'll be greeted by a heavenly friend. No matter how you do it, I hope you, like me, keep a prayer in your heart. I think we all agree facing life with faith is much better than living in fear. In the end, I know this will help us persevere.
All right, outstanding. Thank you so much, Marie.
Yeah.
That's your newest one, yeah?
Yeah, yep, that is my newest one. So again, our guest today, his name is Cody Jackson Sims. Okay. I have just been calling him Jackson. I met him at the first Friday event here in Kaysville where I was setting up my booth and he just came and chatted with me and told me a little bit about a story. He's in recovery. He's had some slips and he is continuing moving forward. I have his bio here. I will just read on here that he is a barber and co-owner with his wife of Faded Forge Barbershop in Layton, Utah. He was born and raised old-fashioned Southern values in Northern Georgia with two siblings by two loving parents, Chip and Darlene Sims. They moved to Utah in 2014 and he followed them after. He was doing a landscape construction business for himself when he started using the drugs and his life started to deteriorate. In 2019, he crashed a bullet bike with no helmet and cracked his skull in two places. After some physical therapy, getting where he could walk, he spiraled into a deep depression and ended up in rehab. He climbed his way out of the hole and followed his passion of going to school for his barbering and met his beautiful wife and two wonderful children. They are owners of one of the best known barbershops in Davis County, which is my county here. And he's in active recovery. He gives back to his treatment center by giving free haircuts to guys and helping them find jobs. So they are getting the ball rolling and coming up on their 6-month mark of being in business. So, Jackson,
Love it.
I'm excited to have him on here and let's welcome into the show and he'll kind of tell a little bit more about his story and about his barber shop and how he is giving back to the community. So, Jackson, come on in.
Welcome.
How's it going?
Good, good, good. Glad that you're here. I'm so glad that it worked out.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man, just,
Yeah.
hearing, your intro, you've been through a lot, obviously, bro. I mean, you've had one hell of a journey, and I imagine you're still on the journey, right? We're always kind of in our journey, and you just never know why you're climbing up that mountain when the freaking storm's gonna hit and you're gonna slip a little bit, right? So,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear all about it, man. So, let us, give us how are you healing and letting us know, your story, bro.
Um. Yeah. I think that I think it's all about the journey. I don't think it's always about the destination. Mine has been a significant, crazy story. In the beginning of your podcast, it said something about people who don't crave attention but definitely need it. I'm told that quite frequently. I'm not a very public person. I tell people all the time, if I wasn't a barber and I didn't need to promote myself on social media, I probably wouldn't. Um, just never been one to crave attention that way or be the center of attention. Um, but yeah, I will be. My birthday's in a couple of days, so I'll be 35 this month, and
Happy early birthday, brother.
My birthday's in a couple days too. Well, on the
Happy
30th.
early birthday to you too. Yes, dang.
yeah, hence the spark that started our conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long road. I was in and out of treatment centers since I was about 19. Tried getting clean and sober a few times, never really worked out. Did it for a stint, and then always kind of reverted back to my old ways. Um, finally realizing a lot of my problems was with me. I didn't like me very much, and I didn't think other people liked me either. Um, I finally found a I finally found a treatment center that was close to my house here in Kaysville and close to the family, but it was one of those I decided to go, not legally forced, not parents push you out and make you go. They definitely pushed me out. I was homeless at this point. I was living on the
Was
streets
this
of
was this before or after the military?
um, not military. No, this is I moved here in 2015, um, and started using after the landscape company. Slowly, just kind of went downhill. Let me start by saying this. My dad is a veteran. He served many years in the Air Force. Um, Also, and he wouldn't mind me saying this. He's been clean. He got clean when I was 7 or 8, and has been clean ever since. So almost 30 years. And so having a
When
very
you say clean,
understanding.
what was his drug of choice? Was it alcohol, was it drugs? What was his
It was
what
it
was his
was it
poison?
was yeah, it was drugs and alcohol. It was
Both.
definitely
Okay.
this was the 80s, give or
Right.
take. I mean, it was probably speed and alcohol, anything he can get his hands on. Um, he got clean when I was 7 or 8. My little brother and sister were very little, and has been clean ever since. And even though with a great role model and a great person to look up to in that aspect, I did not do so. Um, Him and I are a lot alike. It's kind of weird and creepy. So we butted heads a lot, especially with my behavior and my
Sure.
actions. Um, he finally got to the point to where it was just no longer benefiting him, and I had already been jeopardizing his sobriety by bringing stuff around him and in his house, and just totally disrespecting and careless and not thinking about anybody but my next great high moment. Um, so
And they say that a lot that's kind of a thing, right? You get so fixated about the high, you don't even realize of what's around you. You start to really just focus in on getting that next high, right? I mean, it's just
absolutely, it's the only thing that you think about, and it becomes a point of where it's like, oh, it happened. You think about it every week, and then it's every day, and then it's every minute, and then it's every second, and it's just it is crazy to me how much of a chokehold it takes and wrapping itself around your head to where you got blinders on. It's the only thing you see. And it took me longer than I'd like to admit to find my way out of that and get that final divorce of me and substance abuse. Um, it's yeah, it's been a journey. Um,
so was it you that was just ready to make that change, or did
yeah,
something happen that forced you to kind of start making that change?
both. I My parents found the treatment center. I checked it out. They said, "Hey, you know, you can't come home, but if you want to go, there's a bed for you. You got 72 hours to decide whether you want to go after that 72 hours, not going to have a spot for you anymore.
So sorry, how did your dad end up kind of getting clean himself?
My mom
And
tells a story.
how did his journey affect you too? Because you said he's a veteran, and
Yes.
so we're kind of also interested in how his journey as a veteran, as he's struggling, how it affected you as a child as well.
Yeah, my mom tells the story as, he was using, I was, 7 or 8, and the neighbor had ended up knew what he was doing. The neighbor was a police officer, really good friend. We'd been living next to them most of my life at the time. But he ended up was the ultimate one that called the police. I mean, he got somebody to come to the house and arrest him. And my mom was just like, if you don't take this and roll with it, then she's going to take me and my brother and sister.
So she gave him basically an ultimatum at that point, like if you don't get better, that you're going to lose your family
Yeah,
ultimately, right?
yeah, she's like, we can't.
Fed up.
It's going to come to not keeping the house, and it's going to come to my little sister was
She had to protect you kids,
yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
and also try to protect him from himself as well, and that helped
sure.
with the neighbor, good old Keith. He's the one that kind of was the assist in getting that jump started. So yeah, my dad checked into a facility. It happened. I think he was there 60 to 90 days, maybe less. And told my mom like, "Hey, I'm gonna come home. I got to get back to work." And yeah, he just turned that leaf, and he never looked back on it. He's been on the game, yeah, almost 30 years.
Do
So
you feel
that
like
that oh sorry. Go ahead, Marie.
I was gonna say, do you feel like his journey really affected you in the aspect that you probably had a rocky childhood up until this point, I'm guessing, and his journey in his recovery? Do you feel like it affected you negatively at first, but also helped you to find your own recovery and seeing his journey?
Yeah, I think that things happen for a reason. I think that I know that he was present when he was around me, but he also had meetings. He had a job. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so he worked and provided and paid the bills and went to meetings and and made time to still spend with me and my siblings. So I was old enough to somewhat remember a lot of traffic, a lot of people and friends hanging out around the house at the time, and not obviously not understanding the aspect of who those people were until later in life. But it's just funny that now that him and I ended up so much similar. I think we even got clean almost around the same age, using the same drugs. Like it was very uncanny
Now
how much him and I were alike.
that's kind of my question a little bit is being that your dad went through this and he ended up recovering, do you think that he had a little bit more of a understanding, a little bit more compassion towards you and you're trying to recover and at any point did he start seeing like, hey man, you're not, did he even come to you and point anything out to you at any time, or does he kind of just let you navigate on your own?
I think I mean, I did it long enough to where he did both of those probably more than once. Um,
Right.
Try to sit with me, but also know that he wasn't going to force me to do it because he knows forcing somebody to do it is not the way to do it.
Sure. 100%.
And now looking back on it, I realize because I have a son, it's that was extremely hard for him. I didn't see it at the time, but to watch your son or your firstborn go through the exact same thing you went through in almost the exact same way, it was, I would imagine it'd be like karma. He's getting to look at what he was doing to the family and what he was doing to my mom in a whole nother light. He actually got to see it from an outsider looking in that this was the damage and the path that he was on. And so I think it gave him a perspective that's very rare to find, I think, in recovery, to be able to see that firsthand.
Do you think that he ever struggled with any thoughts of maybe like, man, did he pick up what I did, or like have any kind of guilt or anything that you may know of that like you guys ever
I'm,
talked about any of that?
I'm sure he did. He did feel. I mean, I guess as a parent, you feel like you did I go wrong? Did I
Right. That's
not do
yeah.
something right? Whether you're sober or not. I mean, when your kid is fucking up, excuse my language, sorry.
Oh, you're good, man.
When your kid's doing that, it's you want to blame yourself. You don't want to, and that's just the way I would feel if it was my son. You would kind of almost want to go back and look at, like, did I miss something? Did I not, spend enough time with him? Did I not love him enough? Did I not, share my emotions enough? So I'm sure there was probably many points and probably many years of somewhat of a feeling like that. And
So
him and
I'm
I about it.
so I'm going to fast forward through your story just for a second, and then we'll go back. But my question I have, as you said that you have a son. How old is your son?
He's 5.
He's 5. Okay. So did your journey with your father, did it affect how you are relating to your son now, if that makes sense? Is like, do you see any not necessarily parallels, but influence of what you went through with your dad? Did that influence you in your sobriety journey and how you relate to your son, if that makes sense?
Um, yeah, I think to an extent, I think it does. Whether I'd like to try to help it or not, or I think it definitely does. Um, it does give me some different perspective of things that you try not to raise your kids like your parents raised you completely. You want to take the
Sure.
good, but also add
Right.
in some. I don't have a hickory bush on my front porch growing for getting your ass whooped when you got in trouble. That was the way I was raised, and back then, and which was, it was totally fine. I think that it was, that was acceptable at that time, but I try to just do what you just try to do what you think is best. I mean, and I'm far from perfect, but I think it does. I think you're right. It does affect the way I parent my kids or my son today, and you can prepare for the worst, hope for the best, however you want to, swing it. But I think it plays a bigger part than I would probably realize most of the time.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
I know that I was just gonna say, I know that we jump around a lot and ask questions, but
Yeah, whatever you
uh
want.
it's always fun to kind of see how, well, not fun, but it's good to talk about how the different generations are affected with regards to recovery. I was born to addict alcoholic parents and adopted into non-addict alcoholic parents, but I became an alcoholic. And so it's just interesting, alcoholic addict. And so it's just interesting as somebody who kind of has been in that. I like to hear how it kind of affects the whole family, just because to see other perspectives,
Yeah.
like if what would have happened if my biological parents had gotten sober, and how would that have changed? There's sometimes my brain goes into those kind of things of just how it affects the children. So that's just why I'm asking.
and,
Sorry.
and now, Jackson, kind of what actually drew you to the drugs and stuff? Was it society pressure? Was it, like social pressures? Was it friend,
PTSD.
friends? Was it just, was it you just through things that you went through as a child? Or was it just you decided one day you wanted to mess around with some stuff? I mean, what kind of actually really drove you to use it at one point in time? I mean, we all kind of have that moment where we decided to try something for the first time. Do you kind of remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. I smoked, weed in high school, and I had some friends that, weren't horrible people, but probably not the best to be, hanging out with at the time. And I partied a lot, and it ultimately got me in trouble shortly after graduating high school. I was caught with quite a few pills shortly after high school, and that was my first time ever being in trouble and ever, getting charges. And so I ultimately went into drug court. And at the time, this was 2009, I want to say, yeah, 2009. Drug court had just started. It was a trial and error. I think 2 states had it at that time, and I
Can
got
you explain
one.
what drug court is for those who've never heard of it?
Yeah, drug court is a program that is, well, mine was a 24-month program. It is a highly intensive. You can do it in a treatment center and still check in, but it is a highly intensive meetings every day, showing up for court once a week, drug screens randomly. You got a phone number to call, a color that you're listed by. So you constantly random drug screens. And ultimately, because I was facing quite a few felonies, for people who was kind of their first time or first couple times getting in serious trouble, it was a way to keep those felonies off your record. If you can do this program, if you can get through it and complete
So
it,
if you messed up during that program, boom, those felonies are going to be there, and you go right back into jail, or
yeah, no. If you mess up and you get kicked out, I was going to do like a 10 do 5. I had about 32 pending felonies. So
God,
How old were you?
I was 19.
damn, man,
Wow.
was those racked up consecutive, or like did you go do something and just racked up that many charges all at once?
It was all at once. I had a quite a significant number of ecstasy pills in my car at
Ah,
that point in time, and
you
back
had
then,
different kinds of like multiple
yeah,
different
it
kinds of
was
pills, so you didn't just have ecstasy, you had multiple
it
drugs.
had every drug on the map. Every one of those pills had
Damn, a
every drug.
buffet. This
Yeah,
motherfucker.
and
Dang.
technically back then, those ecstasy pills, if you were caught with a distribution charge, you could have gotten manslaughter if anybody ever got, even if they overdosed, if they
Yeah,
didn't die, they got manslaughter because it's
man,
just an
you could still be there today. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Sheesh.
100,
So drug court really helped you then.
I think drug court helped me with my record.
Yeah.
I have a different opinion on drug court. I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong. I having that record sealed and not having it on has made my life easier, even though I wasn't doing
Yeah,
drugs
but tell us the
so,
downfall. Yeah,
but yeah,
that's
what it
yeah.
did was it connected me with a bunch of people that I shouldn't be around. There was 35 of
Mm.
us, and a lot of them had the same, if not worse, charges than I did. And we had to hang around each other because you were constantly around each other, whether it was a meeting, a group, a drug screen, or court, constantly around them.
And I
And so,
imagine
And
everybody in there is faking the funk because everybody wants to pass. You know what I mean? So
so you had some people who aren't healing, who
a whole bunch
aren't
of
who aren't
actors.
getting well. Yeah.
I would say 7 or 8 out of 10 of them
Yeah.
were not clean today. And truth be told, I've been to many of their funerals over the years.
Mm.
It didn't have a good statistic outcome. Like I said, I mean, they were still in their first year or two working out the kinks. This was just kind of, drug court was thrown together at the time. I think Florida had it first, and then Georgia, where I live, got it. And then it kind of spread out through there. But yeah, they were still working out details and, do's and don'ts, and oh, that doesn't work out, and change this. So yeah, I was one of the trial and errors of drug court back then. And
So
just
so did you at least get sober for a little while you were doing that?
yeah, no, I did.
Oh, he wanted his record sealed. Hell yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I stayed. I think I had 1 or 2 positive drug screens throughout that 24-month program. I didn't. It took me a lot longer than 24 months. They have a stipulation now to where if you get set back so far, they'll terminate you. But it took me almost 3 instead of 2 years. It took me almost 3 years to graduate drug court. I did slip up, mess up, whether it was a positive or just not showing up for meetings. I definitely struggled with it. And I was a teenager. I was, I was a smart ass, just thought I had stuff figured out. But
You knew it all. You knew it all right then. Yeah.
and I was nothing like my father. No, I'm nothing like him.
Right.
That kind of idea. And so, yeah, I think it has the pluses outweighed the cons, but ultimately surrounding me with those kind of people just kind of
I mean,
trickled me.
in all reality, I think it's probably what the person does with it, right? Like, cause you have that choice to kind of interact with these other people in there and hang out with them or not, right? And I mean,
Always, always.
some of us are harder than others. We always want to be a part of the group, right? We're part of we want to be socially accepted. So
Yeah.
sometimes when you get in those atmospheres, man, and you're in there, and 80% of them in there, or 90% of them are in there with bad intentions,
Mm-hmm.
it is really going to be hard for those 10% to make it out of that without being sucked in. You know what I mean? So I
100%.
can't imagine that there is a level of they're testing the hell out of these folks. I mean, putting a whole bunch of people on there that kind of all have that mindset of like, y- it's hard to just turn off a switch in your head. If it's on and you really have you want that drug, you're gonna make it happen. Even if you got to
Oh,
do the straight and narrow for 2 weeks, okay, all right, I got to stay in line for 2 weeks. But after that 2 weeks, as soon as I get the hell out of here, I'm gonna go see Jimmy and get me another, 8 ball or something. You know what I mean? It just,
yeah, 100%. I went to a treatment center while I was in drug court, and the owner of that place, great man. I follow him, keep in touch with him today. I'm following on social media, but he owned a very successful treatment center. And I remember the one thing that he told me, he was like, if you chase a better life or your success or your passion as hard as you chase drugs, you can't fail. There's no possible way
yeah.
that you could fail. He's like, if you put all this effort you did into getting high every day and just redirect it at something that's positive, even if if just something good,
Now,
you'll
you know
never.
what, man? I'm glad you said that, because that is a thing that I've thought a lot about too. Even with all these social media warriors on the thing, it's like if they put a half their effort on being social media warriors, this world would be a better place. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
same thing there. It's just, that's a good analogy for a lot of people out there. If you redirect that energy that you're putting into that and go put it into something else, man, you might get something good out of it.
I
So
mean,
so I wanna say just like a different perspective. I get what you guys are saying. Um, so as somebody who's in recovery too, just a different perspective, just for a thought experiment. There's a poem that I wrote about my addictions and stuff, and I actually wrote in there, "No effort left at all to run or drink her life away was her only call." And I will say this, when I got to my lowest part in my addictions, it wasn't effort that I was putting in, it was just my lifestyle, it was just what I knew. And so that idea of getting sober, it was like I went from not putting any effort into myself into putting a ton of effort into myself. But back then, I don't know if it's the same thing for you, Jackson, but for me, it wasn't even something like I was consciously putting the effort in. That was just my life. That was just how it was, and the effort that I put in wasn't conscious. And so I would say on that, if you consciously put effort into your recovery and into your new life, then you can never fail. But it was just a different perspective in that. But
Yeah.
I wanted to I know that we could sit and talk about this stuff,
Mhm.
all day, but I kind of wanna fast forward a little bit, and because I want to make sure that we have time to get touch on all these different topics.
Yeah.
But you were talking about that you went into treatment again, and at that point you had become homeless. Can you kind of touch on that? So you went into drug court, you kind of continued running, and can you talk about your treatment and your homelessness?
Yeah.
Touch base on that. I want to see how far down the scale did you go?
Well, I mean, yeah, drug court. slowly, I trickled back and down to addiction. And ultimately, it was the real reason why I moved here, is because my mom and dad were just like, you just need to just. I didn't have anybody really there to help me. I was kind of homeless in Georgia as well, and moved here, and did good for a little while in the landscaping and all that, and then it slowly trickled back down again, and it just gets worse every time. And this time, I had that 72 hours to check in to that place, and I wrote it out to the last minute, of course. And right before, I was supposed to go check in at 10 o'clock that night, and I made it there. But right before that, I got one little hoorah before that, and had a little OD in a bathroom at a gas station.
Mm.
Um, and just so happened the girl that worked there knew me and knew,
What drug was that you were using right there?
oh, it was heroin at the time.
Oh, heroin. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had gone
Damn, that's
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
no,
needle. You were needling it then at that point in time, injecting yourself. Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Wow.
And she came in and I mean, she bitch slapped the shit out of me and woke me up. Yeah, she cracked the tooth, woke me up,
Holy
uh,
shit.
and I immediately just got up and walked out of the gas station. And the detox center was about, I don't know, quarter mile, and I just walked straight there. I just walked straight there, took it as a sign, and checked in, and found a place that was doing things that I understood and that worked for me and got me. They just offered what I needed at that time. I think treatment centers, a lot of them offer different things, and trying to find one that offers you what you need and what you need to get through and work through at that time, I think is key. And it's hard to do. I mean, it's a coin toss of where you go. You're not going to know till you get there, but I had found a place that really that worked. Things clicked. Things, I woke up, so to speak, and it just I was the owner at the time said that we're going to get you physically healthy, so that you're mentally healthy, and that you will ultimately be spiritually healthy. And if you can keep those three things together, he's like, you won't ever go back to the life you had. And I've done that ever since. I mean, they did a fantastic job. It was a great place, and that's why I try to give back to them today. Um, and try to help the guys when I can, and give free haircuts, and even after they're out of treatment, as long as they stay on the right path, they can come into my barbershop any day of the week and get a haircut, hang out, chat, talk.
You having that near death experience in that bathroom was, so to speak, that was your wake up call right there, huh? That was the moment that you kind of knew you were ready, I guess, to do it on your own, or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was one. I've had more near death experiences uh,
after.
than I'd like to admit. Whether it's an OD in that motorcycle crash, the crash was really what set me off, and it put me at a bottom that I needed to be at. That
Was
put
the
me
crash before or after the bathroom incident?
before. So
Okay,
I
can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, I cracked my skull in two places. I had a subdural hematoma and had to have a
Were
section.
you high or drunk at this point?
100%,
Yep.
100%. I'd been up all night, and I'd fixed a buddy's bullet bike, and he's let me drive in it for a couple of days. And I just was on 200 North in Kaysville, right by Smith's Marketplace, and turned left coming from Layton Parkway and tried to go around a lady, and she got over at the same time. And so I just lost control of the bike, and it threw me up and over, I think, another vehicle, and I landed on my head on the side on the curb.
You had to have
Were
a
you
helmet
wearing a
on, huh?
helmet?
No, no,
Oh
helmet
my
was strapped to my
gosh, damn,
seat,
dog.
right behind me.
You're
I
lucky
had,
to be alive, brother. Sheesh.
I that statement
Yeah.
I've been told so many times that I think my dad put it in a way that I wasn't really looking at the time. He's like, whatever it is that you're here to do, he's like, evidently you haven't done it yet. He's like, because it's been
Right.
too many times, whether that crash or an OD, it's
You're
happened
still
enough.
needed here.
I am. What that is, I'm not sure, but I just, trying to prepare and be ready for it whenever that time comes.
So that was a pretty nasty bottom that you hit, and that still wasn't enough for you, almost dying
Yeah,
in
I
that
thought that,
accident.
I was on. I mean, I was on a significant amount of pain meds too. I had damaged my body and was on pain meds for a couple
Yeah, I
months.
imagine that accident and it helped you with your recovery because now you're using narcotics for your pain, and now
And
you're
you have
taking
an
on
excuse to
Vicodins, and
use
now
it.
yeah, now you got a
I did.
prescription.
I had an excuse, and to be honest, it was one of those situations where it was bad enough that I couldn't do without it at the time. I
And were
was
you taking more than what was, the recommended dose, or were you staying on top of it?
not for a time. I mean, I had to move back in with my parents. I needed round the clock care. I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. I was pissing in a bottle, off the side
Oh
of the bed
gosh.
for a while. I'd knocked the fluid out of my ears. So if you've ever spun around in a chair 100 times and tried to get up and walk, the room spins. So anytime I got up and tried to walk, the room would spin, and
Vertigo.
I'd either throw up or I'd fall over.
Yeah, it sounds like you
It,
got really bad vertigo. Oh my
it
gosh.
was bad for about 6 months, and it took some physical therapy to get to where I could even walk to the bathroom. So I was on a lot of pain meds. My parents managed that because I was living with them, and they only gave me what I was supposed to have when I
But
was
it
supposed
still
to have.
triggers the phenomenon of craving. If
Yes.
anybody knows about addiction, you've got the obsession of the mind, which is the mentality where you're like, "Man, I really need this drug or this alcohol." It's that obsession of the mind. I really need it. But with an addict or an alcoholic, our brain literally metabolizes things differently. And so once that substance is put in our system, then it starts the phenomenon of craving. And like a normie person doesn't have the craving. They don't sit and crave it. They're like, "Oh, hey, that felt good. Cool." But for an addict, alcoholic, our brain literally processes it differently and our body starts craving it. So I assume even though you are healing and you're using this medication the right way, it's an extended use of it and so it's building up that phenomenon of craving in your system, right? So then when you don't use that anymore, then you're craving something different, correct?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it was as soon as I learned to walk and mobile, like could walk around and could get out of the house and go to the store, I was immediately using opiates again, like
Well,
immediately.
and
Mhm.
this is the thing, like, there's so much debate in the recovery community, and the recovery community does not have a say either way. They have no professional opinion on it, but there is so much debate within recovery of people saying, "Oh, you've got to teetotal it. If you have these kind of accidents, if you have this surgery, you do nothing. You don't do any pain meds." And then you've got other people like, "No, hey, dude, you can use the pain meds as long as you're using them in recovery." And using them the right way. And the reality is we have a daily reprieve contingent upon our spiritual maintenance. If
Mhm.
we are in a good spiritual place and we are utilizing the medication the way that they're supposed to, God has promised that He will help us in our recovery and help us to not abuse it. But if we are not in a good spiritual place, if we have not worked through the steps, if we are not reaching out to people to help us, then that reprieve is gone. And so then it builds up that phenomenon of craving. And so like I said, there's no official outlook upon it except we have a daily reprieve contingent on our spiritual maintenance. And so,
Mhm.
if you are in recovery and you're fighting that idea of should I use meds, should I not, there's no official stance on it. Just pray about it and let God guide you.
Mhm.
But for people, and it sounds like Jackson, you weren't in that good spiritual place. And so then as soon as you were able to, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna keep running."
Yeah, 100%. And then you saying that there's so much truth in what you were saying. I've had not too long ago. I had surgery. I had to have I've slowly had to fix old injuries from that accident. Like I had to have my abdominal wall repaired. It tore, and then I had to have another surgery, which is very intense, very painful. It's like four incisions. They have robot arms go in like your side and stitch you up from the back, and then they put a mesh in the front, so you feel like you've been run over by a car. And I did. I was just like, I'll take Tylenol and ibuprofen, and the doctor was just like, no. you won't either. You're going to need this, and I gave it to my wife and took it as needed. I didn't take it until I absolutely couldn't stand it anymore. Um, and used it the way I was supposed to. So those times have come, and it's just a good feeling, not the taking the drugs, but being able to get through that and not have these cravings of just like, damn, that felt good.
Use them
And
as prescribed, right? You're using it
yeah,
as it's supposed to be, and I imagine for you, that's feeling a great feeling. Now, anywhere during that time, did your mind go the other way and, like, have an urge or any of that, or you
You're
have
talking
been
about
able to
his
fight
most
that?
recent surgery?
Yeah, just even
Yeah.
just through the most recent time.
I love that. I love that question. I don't know about other people. I know other people might be able to relate. I think that my mind, you have so many thoughts during the day. So anytime I took it, I always would think back, like I would have a flashback. It's not like something I'd live in and I would sit and stew in. Um, but it's always just this, you put it in your rear view, but you don't lose sight of it. I don't think that if you lose sight of your past and what you did, the bad, the good, especially as a recovering addict, I think that's where you can find trouble. So anytime I took it, it's not that I wanted to go get high, but I constantly, it's an everyday thing. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
the
see how
thought's
people
always
can
kinda just there, right? I mean, how you
always.
react to that thought
Yeah,
is the next level, correct? You could
absolutely.
cut that thing off, you can take it in and say, "Oh, maybe I will," you know what I mean? There's a lot of
Yeah,
ways it's basically you've developed a mechanism to react to that, right? And or even put up a shield and just block it.
yeah, yeah. In
So
recovery, a lot of people will put it as your toolbox. This is like your toolbox, the stuff
Right.
that ways you handle that mentally, and when you're in those situations, you pull out your tools, you pull out your thinking process.
Love it.
You run through the steps. The steps teach you how to just keep going through it. Play it out. Play the tape out. That's one of the main steps you go. If you
Ah,
ever run into that situation, play it through. What happens if I do this? What
so
happens if
here is the way that I understand it myself. Okay. So in meetings and whatnot, they ask if you have a desire to use or to drink, right? And if you need to share about it. And the thing that I've realized is I at in my early sobriety, it was a desire to use. Okay. But it's not a desire to use anymore. When I'm thinking about it, I'm not thinking about it in the aspect that I want to use. I'm thinking about it in the aspect of, oh, hey, in this situation, I used to use.
Mhm.
And that is a much different mindset. And so a lot of people think, "Oh man, I'm close to relapse because I'm thinking about using." No, if you are thinking about this is what I used to use, but I don't do that anymore, it is a much different mindset and you're on a different plane of existence. And so like I agree with Jackson that the thoughts do come, but it's so much different when you are on that plane of recovery. It's
I
not
feel
I
like
want to, it's I used to.
I feel like you're
Yeah.
giving yourself some dopamine at that point in time because it's actually a good feeling to not be doing it, right? Like
Yeah.
you're thinking about what you used to do, but that also is giving you that dopamine feeling of like, I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dopamine and serotonin, that's 100%. You're absolutely correct. And then that's why I say I love that question. I love that whole aspect and the outlook of it, because it's just so important, and something that kind of gets overlooked sometimes. Like she was saying, people think that they have those thoughts and that, oh, I'm so close to relapse. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you right now, those thoughts ain't going nowhere. So you can either learn to live with them and put them in the back of the bus and not let them drive your bus, or just
Mhm.
they'll end up driving the bus. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to go away. It's just the way our minds operate. She said earlier that we operate in a different mindset, so they'll always be there. It's just whether you can coincide and be able to play those through and not act on them.
You
Yep.
I
love the question. I love the answer, bro. It was a great answer, and I think a lot of people do need to hear that, because it is important. Recovery is a hard thing, and a lot of people get in their head and think that they're tripping up over this or that. you're not tripping up until you're really putting it back into your nose or into your vein or whatever you may be doing.
Well,
Yeah.
Thinking about something isn't committing the actual thoughts.
it's
Mhm.
about the perspective, like what is your perspective on this?
Mhm.
And also what are the tools that you're using? Are you trying to go around in circles in your own brain, or are you reaching out as in meetings, reaching out to God, reaching out to a sponsor, reaching out to other people? That is where the make it or break it is, you know. Um and again, we could I want to continue on with your story because, like I said, I want to touch base, but can we fast forward, again, slash go backwards because we kind of bounce bounce around. But, your treatment when you got sober, the
Mhm.
homelessness, and then coming back up. Can you kind of touch base on that a little bit more?
Yeah, after treatment, I was surrounded by a good group of guys. A handful of them I still am friends with today and consider close brothers, or people I can call on at any time. One in particular, he lives close by you and I. He's here 5 minutes away, and he's a great guy. And he kind of is the one that got me physically healthy to start my journey. And him and I just kind of have been friends ever since. And since then, I have continued to do the things that I was taught to do and continued, moving forward. I started a tile business. I was working for myself again because my record still was just not easy to get a job even after treatment. Uh,
Mhm.
and so I did that for a period of time. My brother is ultimately the one that convinced me to go to school. And because I was working for myself, I signed up for school. And FAFSA and all that, they paid for 90% of my schooling. I went to Paul Mitchell and graduated Paul Mitchell School,
Oh,
barber school,
nice.
and and that was just another just great journey. It put me in touch with some guys that I have working in my barbershop today. They're great guys. One of them's one of my closest friends. Even though they're normies, they are great to be around. They don't do nothing, ask nothing of me. They don't bring nothing around. It's just an understanding that we've got. Um, they work side by side with me at the barbershop. But that whole, I think that when you get on your journey, and my dad always says, just do the next right thing. He's like, just even if you don't know what to do, just whatever's in front of you, do whatever is the right thing to do. And I
I
think
like
that by following that path and doing the next right thing, I have organically obtained a barbershop. This was not something that I planned until way later. I wasn't going to do this until years later. But the barbershop we worked at closed down and left me and the barbers jobless, and we didn't want to move. My wife and I, we just sold a townhome in Layton and had the funds to do so. So you can call it luck. I call it preparation meets opportunity. I think that it just came across our plate. It wasn't something that was forced. And it's just, we did the next right thing. We wanted to keep myself employed and keep the clients that we worked so hard to build. And, so we took the money and revamped the barbershop and reopened it.
outstanding.
All things that I've gotten today, it was not forced. It wasn't something that I just, I worked hard on a passion, and then things just slowly started. Will just kind
All right, and we're back. We just wanted to take a quick break, get everything in a line. That way, you guys could have quality. All right, brother.
yeah, I think that I wasn't planning on obtaining a barbershop. It was organically, came across my plate. It was, when preparation meets opportunity. Um, we were out of a job and out of a barbershop, and we just so happened to, sell our townhome and had the money to open up a shop. And my wife was the one who brought it to my attention. She said, somebody else I think was going to buy it, and they offered me a position to run it and gave me. They were like, I'll give you 30% of the business, just run it. They weren't a barber; they just wanted to open it back up. And my wife said, well, if you're going to run it, she's like, why don't we just run it? Why don't we just do
Have
it?
full control over it. Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Be the
so
decision makers.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I did. She convinced me to do so, and my tile and restoration, home, all that work I did and blue collar work paid off. So that's what I did. I remodeled the shop. We closed it down for about a month, reopened it, and I mean, I think just in the short amount of time we've been there, we've had a massive increase in new clients. We were able to keep
Outstanding.
90% of our old clients. I mean, it was everything up until this point. It just felt it was just the next right thing. It's just funny how when you do the next right thing and you just and especially in recovery, your higher power, whoever you choose to believe in, will lay some things on your plate. You can choose to do that path or not, but I tend to, now that you get a clear mind and a sober mind, you tend to be able to see things a lot clearer. You can see the things that are kind of like, hey, you probably should do this. If you probably should lean towards this way or make this decision. And it's just really uncanny. Like when you can remove the drugs and get in recovery, how much clearer things can be. It doesn't have to always be difficult. It doesn't always have to be hard. It just, the things that I've gotten in my life, I wasn't actively seeking it. I was just doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was doing the next right thing, and I was doing trying to make my life better so that I could make others' lives better. You can't help others until you help yourself. And everything I think that I've gotten in recovery, I met my wife when I wasn't looking for anybody. We got the barbershop when I wasn't wanting to own a barbershop. It's really cool. It's probably one of the greatest experiences of my life to be able to have these things and not feel like that I'm gonna lose it or that I forced it. It's just kind of one of those things where my higher power will let me know, like, hey, this is where you're supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is who I'm supposed to be with. This is my profession where I need to be. And it makes you feel better about that, or me feel better about being ready for that thing that I'm supposed to be here for. Because like you said earlier, I don't think that I've died more than once and been brought back, whether it was an EMT or just by luck. It's been quite a few times. So whatever it is, it's a good feeling to know that I'm on the path to be able to accept that opportunity when it comes.
So speaking of that, yeah, God does really weird things in our lives when we stop trying to force it. There's a story in recovery about, we are like actors trying to be the director, but we're not the director. We try to force things with other people, and there's just anger and we mess up. And when we finally let God be our director, he just does this beautiful show that's just so weird, and we have no idea what's coming, and we're just along for the ride. But
Mhm.
I wanted to touch base, with what you were saying about your purpose, right? One of the big reasons that we are doing this podcast is talking about healing out loud and being for the next person, being here for the
Mhm.
next person. So can you share a little bit more about how you are being open about your recovery and how you are being there for the next person, especially the work that your barbershop is doing with other people in recovery? We'll finish up with you kind of, giving us a few minutes just talking about how you are passing on the message.
And and and
Yeah.
and that way, and here I'll give you the just two little quick questions, and then we'll land the plane. And but also, life is rough, and you just never
Mhm.
know when the next thing's gonna happen, right? That could possibly be that trigger. Do you feel that you're far enough in your recovery that you can weather the storm if something really was bad to happen again, or something that was to send you kind of back in a place that you're not? Do you feel that you're more equipped to be in that situation and get out of it without falling back into the pit, so to speak?
Yeah, I do. I think that there are things that have happened, in my recovery that has reminded me of things, whether it was rough times or good times. I think that if you're on your right, my higher power, if I'm ever, or if you're on that right path and you're on the path and you go astray, I think that you kind of get not blindsided, like it doesn't take, like you get reminded. I think your higher power kind of like bumpers on in a bowling alley. It'll bump you and knock you upside the head a little bit to kind of let you know, like, hey, dude, that's not something you should be doing. um, and hopefully, people can, or other people can notice that. I know I did. I've had, plenty of moments, where, life was rough and times were hard, and something happens that really, reminds you, just to, weather the storm and stick it out. And I think with my story and all the things I've been through, even I've got enough tools in my toolbox to be able to get back on track in hard times. I think that it's not going to be as hard as that first time when you first get clean and sober and you're trying to get off the pink cloud, or whatever people want to call it. I think that it becomes way easier to get back on track if you feel like you're off track. And me in the barbershop, I'm always trying to find ways to give back. And then I'm told by others that people always say, like, hey, hence why I'm on this podcast. I've been told for a long time that people say, like, you got to start telling your story. You gotta do it in or out of a meeting, whenever, wherever you can. Because I'm a lot of people tell me that it's just inspirational to be at the lowest of low, and to be, over a decade, almost 2 decades of drug abuse, and literally have nothing. I don't even think there was, when I checked in treatment, I don't even think I had a backpack and clothes. Um, to having a house, a wife, kids, my own business, and successful business. It's the story of a lifetime. I don't know. I know a lot of people in recovery come back and they everybody has their own bottom. But and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think mine just differs a little bit. It's not something that I forced. It's not something that I stole or dragged or manipulated for. It was just something that was just different than most people. And I think that, I have a bit of imposter syndrome when it comes to that, because of all the stuff I do. I don't always think that I deserve all this. I really don't. It's something I struggle with every day, to try to pat my, you're not supposed to pat yourself on the back too much, but I think I'm told that I need to every once in a while. Count your wins, count your blessings. But it's just something I've struggled with, and to be able to go from that much of a bottom to not having anything, not even a family member or any friend or anybody, everybody's wrote you off, to being one of an inspiration, and have people see that, people in recovery can look and be like, damn, like, not so bad. If I keep doing this, I can have a piece of that. Um, and that's just a really, being that person and being the main character in that story is hard for me to accept. Um, and I'm still navigating the emotions behind it. But it's not bad emotions. It's all good. I
And
just,
now you're utilizing all of this for the next Joe, right? The
yeah,
next person.
I think that if I don't try to give back, and I don't try to utilize what God gave me and what I was blessed with, that it'll be taken from me in some shape, form, or fashion. If I don't utilize and recognize, like, I think my higher power is like, hey, we giving you more than one chance, multiple. We got you this far. You need to try to do some good with it. If you're not going to do good with it, it's not going to grow. It won't be able to be what it could be, you know? So I think that realizing that and counting my blessings and doing that, I think that it's what I'm supposed to do. It's what I need to do. It's what I have to do to try to give back. It's the tools that I was given and the life that I was given to show others and teach them like, hey, you know, it ain't always bad. You know, if you stick it out and weather the storm, you know, the sky's the limit. You know, redirect your effort from getting high every day into something good and doing what you really love. You know, it's the statement of like doing what you're passionate about, don't do it for money. But if you do what you're passionate about, it's funny how those things will come. You know, just do the best, be the best at whatever you love doing and be the best at whatever you enjoy doing the most. And I promise you, without a doubt, I would gamble my life on it. You'll turn your whole life around.
I love it, man. And you know what, Jackson, man, I'm super proud of you, bro. Super proud of you. If no one ever told you that, I mean, I'm super proud of you, man. And now you can be in a great example for your kids. You can be a great example for your employees. You can be a great example to others. And I always love to see when someone kind of makes it to the other side, or at least gets themselves out of that darkness, and then they pick up the flashlights and they start waving it and saying, "Hey, come here, come, come to the light, guys. It's so much better over here." So it's a must. To me, when you go and get that win, it's important for you to share that, share and the struggles, man. I mean, I think we cheat ourselves when we're not transparent with the world, and
Mhm.
and we try to fake the funk, because I think that a lot of people walk around and they're not real.
Mhm.
They are not. They try to live to others' expectancies or whatever. They're shamed because if they do this or do that. But you know what? The bottom line is there's not one human in this world that is 100% perfect, that makes every right decision and does everything perfect. We all have failures, but we got the most important part is learning from the failures and providing that story so maybe someone else doesn't have to go through those failures in life. So
Yeah.
you know what,
Um,
bro? Thank you, man, for coming out and sharing your story, dude. I mean, I don't know if this is your first time kind of making an attempt at it and coming out, but hey, bro, this is just a start, man. And you'll find when you walk away from this, you'll feel like a little bit more is off your chest, because you're now starting to share it, man. It's no more just you and what you went through. It's, hey, I'm gonna share this with everybody else, and you can know what I went through, and maybe you can stop someone else from doing the same thing, man. There's a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old just like you, that's like doesn't know what the hell to do and thinking about doing this and doing that, and you're just like, "Hey, man, don't go that path."
So speaking of that, we've got to wrap it up, but
mhm.
what is the name of your store again, and where are you located? He's only like 10 minutes away from me, by the way. So
Yeah.
what is the name of your store again? Where is it located? And where can people find you on social media if they want to reach out to you? And then we'll close it up after that.
Yeah. It is Faded Forge Barbershop. It is on the corner of Main Street and Antelope, right next to Vasa Fitness, 2146 North Main.
And
We're
that's
in the
in
big,
Layton, Utah.
yeah, Layton, Utah. We are in the big parking lot up there, and we own the URL, the social media. If you type in Faded Forge on your social media or your phone or Google search it, it'll pull up all of our information. We're top of the list. We pride ourselves in the 5-star Google reviews of going from the second page Google search to the first in just 6 months. So
That's
not
amazing.
hard to find. You can look us up and type us in, and it will be the first one you see. So
W Well, Jackson, thank you so much. It was so good to meet you, a couple months ago and to have you here, and I know we kind of jumped around in your story, but it was a lot of fun to kind of get to know you and also hear a little bit of your dad's story as a fellow vet, and, we're just so very grateful that you were here. Thank you for being vulnerable and open and for being a part of our journey of healing out loud and advocating for the next person. Thank you so much for all of that.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you. All right, friends and family. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for another amazing coffee talk. Um, it is great to listen to other people in the recovery. We love to hear from you guys and where you may be with it. Come heal out loud with us. You can email me at every day's a Saturday 365 at yahoo.com. Also, please, if you can see right here on the bottom, we're on all those platforms and more. So if you have any of those, please go like it, star it, subscribe, all that good stuff, so you can help get these amazing stories out there. And all right, Marie, you got anything last thing to say? Set out it.
I'm just glad to be here, and I wish you all luck in continuing to heal out loud as well.
Outstanding. You know how we say, don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. We'll see you guys.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.